And we are live now. I request Analia to take over.
Good morning to one and all present here. I, Analia MJ, on the behalf of Team Harithkram, welcome the August Assembly to the inaugural function of the 3-day Youth Conference, a fusion of Harithkram's flagship events, the Delhi University Sustainability Forum 2020 and the Harithkram Model United Nations Environment Assembly 2021 on the theme COVID-19 and its impact on SDG targets. What started as a viral infection in China towards the end of 2019 took the shape of a pandemic in no time. And over the last 23 months, the world populace progressed from cluelessness about the nature and ramifications of disease to a point where the international community came together to fight the disease tooth and nail. And fast forward to this day, a sizable population across the world is now vaccinated and the world is slowly opening up to resume normal day-to-day activities in full swing. What the last 2 years have taught us is the power of humanity. With the hope and unity, humans can overcome the most insurmountable of difficulties. Needless to say, the COVID-19 pandemic has left an indelible impact on the environment too, posing an urgent crisis for nations and people to grapple with, and disrupting the progress towards achievement of many of the sustainable development goals, also threatening to undo much of the work and progress also already achieved. This year, Harithkram chose to interrogate the impact of the pandemic on the SDG targets during this 3-day youth assembly, wherein school students and college and university students will discuss, debate, and mull over the focal theme. Harithkram organizes its flagship events, DUSF and HMUNEA, by nearly every alternate year. The disruptions caused by the pandemic last year, especially in the realm of academic activities, affected all and sundry. However, this year, Team Harithkram decided to pull up its socks and organize its flagship events. Hence, the merging of 2 signature events of Harithkram. As a part of the 4th edition of Delhi University Sustainability Forum 2020, we are organizing a school students conference today, right after joint inaugural function of DUSF'2020 and HMUNEA 2021. The SSC is held under the aegis of Delhi University Sustainability Forum in order to create environmental awareness beyond the boundaries of the college and to channelize the potential of young school children towards a greener world through the medium of team efforts. The next 2 days of the event will be dedicated to the conduct of the 5th edition of the Harithkram Model United Nations Environment Assembly 2021, a one-of-its-kind forum for college and university students to participate in an academic simulation of the United Nations Environment Assembly. Harithkram is possibly the only organization in India which started organizing this event way back in 2014. Our faculty members will take you through the story of its inception later during this event. Now, I would like to request Dr. Shikha Gupta, the convener of Harithkram, to address the August House. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Analia. Harithkram, the Environment Society of SHAHEED Bhagat Singh College, University of Delhi greets one and all while celebrating the 10th year of its foundation. I heartily welcome our very own respected Gayatri Raghwa ma'am, Environment Education Consultant at UNEP India, on behalf of the Chief Guest of the day, Mr. Atul Bagai, Head UNEP India. I also welcome the guest of honor, Dr. Fawzia Tarannum from Delhi School of Advanced Studies, New Delhi, also the DUSF plenary speaker for the day. Respected Principal Sir, Professor Anil Sardana, my fellow colleagues and dear students from across the country who have participated in this 3-day conference. Beyond the boundaries, this motto has always inspired the young minds and the teachers of Harithkram alike. It has always tried to channelize the energy of young and budding environmentalists towards achieving our goals of a greener and a sustainable world. This is very crucial in today's day and age, when sustainability is the need of the hour, as we have to manage our resources by meeting the present needs and at the same time, not compromise the ability of future generations to meet their own needs and possibilities. It is with immense pride that I announce not one, but 2 events that will be held under DUSF'20 and HMUNEA'21, fusion of Harithkram's 2 flagship events in a 3-day youth conference. The 5th edition of HMUNEA will offer young scholars from diverse backgrounds to brainstorm, debate, and discuss the onslaught of COVID-19 on SDGs targets and make the discourse on the environment richer. It gives the young voices a great opportunity to work towards the goals set by the founders of United Nations and ensure a clean environment. The 4th edition of the DUSF, through its unique approach of school outreach program, allows the participating students to closely observe a conference filled with experts to widen their horizon and get an idea of how things work. And all of this wouldn't have been possible without the tireless efforts of our green bicycles. Looking forward to an enriching experience for all the participants that will give us the chance to think beyond. I once again welcome everyone to the conference. Thank you so much. Over to you, Analia.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us now welcome our patron, our Honorable Principal, Professor Anil Sardana, sir. I request sir to kindly say a few words to welcome the assembly. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Analia. You are steering it and anchoring it very well. Good for that. Well, I am very much delighted to be part of this flagship event of Harithkram, as well as I have been told that there are two organizations have joined hands together to do this very noble work, I will say, because Harithkram projects have always been so good, environment friendly and beneficial for the society, as well as, and always with the cause actually, and students have been trained. Before we talk about that, I would like to first of all thank and welcome Ms.Gayatri Raghwa from UNEP, who has agreed and is representing Mr. Atul Bagai, who has always been very kind with us and has been part of a kind of patronage involvement with our college in various functions. And Ms. Gayatri Raghwa, as we know about that, she's a consultant for the environment issues. She has always been very helpful and very participative in our college and has been an asset, as a matter of fact, in many ways. I'm thankful to Dr. Fawzia from Terry School of Advanced Studies, who has agreed to be part of this event and give the plenary address also. And all this, for arranging all this, the credit goes to the convener, co-convener, and many teachers who have really worked very hard. So under the leadership of Dr. Shikha Gupta and the co-convener, Dr. Komal Agarwal, and the mentorship of Dr. V.I.V. Raman, and whose brainchild is this organization, and with the support of many teachers, senior teachers, as well as young teachers, Ms. Meeta Hussain, Jyoti, Vashne, and Dr. Nida from Department of History, and this Delhi University Sustainable Forum and Harithkram Model United Nations Environment Assembly will be an absolutely very successful event, because I believe that the kind of cause we have taken up COVID and its impact. And through the Model United Nations Environment Assembly, if we are trying to train our students, train the participants, and they are coming from different places, schools, colleges, universities. So the idea gets spread out. The idea gets spread out that the students, the children, the delegates, they are able to represent as a nation. They learn about diplomacy, they learn about participation, they learn about how to raise their voice and causes, concern. So these contributions are really very good. I really appreciate the whole team of Harithkram and Delhi University Sustainability Forum that they have taken up this cause and amalgamated their efforts and are working. And it would not have been possible without the partnership and without the contribution of young students. I was going through the whole brochure actually, and I was very impressed the way it has been presented. I felt that it will not be fair on my part without acknowledging the contribution of, as far as the Sustainability Forum is concerned, Lakshay, Prerna, Aragyadeep, Upanita. I know some of these students, they are our illustrious alumnus also, and the present student Pratyush, Vanshika, and Tirath Raj. So I compliment the whole team of Harithkram. I compliment the whole team of Delhi University Sustainability Forum that they have taken up this cause, impact of COVID on the this SDG goals, SDG. And its impact, because I believe that if students are taught about these things, they become a better person. If they are, connected with the environment, they know how to love, preserve, conserve the environment, the nation will go into the secured hands, safe hands. So we are here to welcome you, all those delegates who have come from different schools, different colleges and universities. Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, Harithkram Society has always taken the initiative, as it was being said that this is the initiative which has been not taken by other colleges. We have taken. I wish that this initiative will go further and the excellence, it will reach to new heights of excellence, and it will increase its impact on student community as well as the other young professionals, and will contribute in many ways. As a principal, I assure you that whatever the facilities the college can provide, we are always there to help you. You are most welcome to seek any facility which is required. And with these words, I would not like to speak much on this because we have so many experts to speak on this. And I also would like to hear once again welcoming Ms.Gayatri Raghwa, as well as Dr. Fawzia, thanking Atul Bagai and complimenting and congratulating Harithkram and the whole team under the leadership of Dr. Shikha Gupta and mentorship of Dr. Raman. My best compliments and my blessings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request our staff advisor, Dr. V.A.V. Raman, to introduce the conference to everyone assembled here.
Thank you, Analya. Respected Madam Gayatri Raghwa, Dr. Fawzia from TERISAS, our principal, Dr. Anil Sardana, all my colleagues from different colleges and from my own college, the faculty members of Harithkram, and the students and all the participants in this inaugural program. We are celebrating the 10th foundation of Harithkram. It was on 7th September 2012 that Padma Shri Sunita Narayan visited the college and put the first, to say, a stone for Harithkram, inaugurated it. And within 2 years of that, in 2014, when the student members came to know that being an environment society, the UNEP is organizing the UNEA, United Nations Environment Assembly, the first one at Nairobi in July 2014. In September 2014, the simulation of that was conducted at the South Campus under the leadership of that then principal, Dr. P.K. Khurana. And the guest was none other than the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dinesh Singh himself. And we celebrated the Harithkram Model UNEA in that year, and it was on climate change and development conflicts. On that same year, we also launched the Delhi University Sustainability Forum and the school outreach program. And there were some school students invited to witness the function. And I remember Professor Dinesh Singh specifically mentioning, it's very nice that you have brought in the school also, so that they also learn the way that at a higher education level, how we proceed. So we wanted to mentor them also. And in that way, the schools got involved with this particular flagship of Harithkram. Followed that, the Delhi University Students Forum's conference, which included the Young Scholars Conference, the Harithkram Youth Summit, as well as the School Students Conference, got evolved. And then in 2016 and 2018, we celebrated it both at the International Center and then on 2018 in the college, when we had the facility infrastructure being developed. The HMUNEA, this is going to be the 5th edition, and we have simulated exactly on the same years when it had been held, the 2nd in 2016, the 3rd in 2017, 4th in 2019, and now we are on the 5th edition. And I know that the UNEA in February, the 5.1 was held on a virtual mode, and they have a plan to have it on physical mode, the 5.2, in February, March 2022. Keeping the Harithkram E-initiative continued along with our biodiversity trail that we started in 20 and then completed in 21 during World Environment Day. We are continuing this tradition of having the E-initiative, and continuously the students are involved in one or the other activity beyond their general coursework, and a lot of academic activities going on. Almost monthly, they have different programs on. Keeping that in continuity is this particular, because last year, due to the pandemic in 2020, we could not hold the DUSF. So the one main attraction of DUSF is the School Students Conference. So we took that and the Model UNEA, the 5th edition, together in this event, which is going to be for 3 days. We'll be after the inaugural, we'll have the School Students Conference today afternoon, and in the next 2 days, the Model UNEA, which will go through almost 5 agendas, and here are delegates. The students who are now representing as the delegates will deliberate on different aspects there and will come out with a draft resolution. So this is on COVID-19 and its impacts on the SDGs targets. So they have taken few agendas and they'll be working on that. Thank you very much. So over to you, Anandya.
Thank you, sir. Our chief guest for the inaugural event today is Mr. Atul Bagai, head of UNEP India. Due to some unavoidable circumstances, he could not join us today. However, he is being represented by Ms. Gayatri Raghwa, Environment Education Consultant, UNEP India. On behalf of Team Harithkram, I welcome you, ma'am, and also express our heartfelt gratitude for your continued support and encouragement for the initiatives of Harithkram. However, Mr. Bagai has sent his recorded address for the event. Let us play the same before we move ahead.
Good morning. I am very happy to note that Shaheed Bhagat Singh College has taken the lead in pursuing the discourse on environment through a very novel approach of conducting a mock United Nations Environment Assembly. While we often hear of mock UN, in which environmental topics in addition to other developmental issues are discussed, dedicating a mock UNEA for encouraging a discourse only on environmental themes and issues is indeed praiseworthy. And I congratulate the students and the faculty of Shaheed Bhagat Singh College for thinking of this very novel idea and also aligning it with the global assembly that the UNEP organizes for all the environment ministers of the world. Needless to say that youth of today has become the decision maker and leader of tomorrow. To be effective administrators, thinkers, innovators, and professionals, they need to get a systemic view of how the world works. And here I would like to speak of one earth and one world when we want to promote collaboration between countries on economic, social, and environmental fronts, the three dimensions of sustainable development. When we examine the current pandemic using systems thinking, one can clearly perceive the close connection between all dimensions of human growth and development with our physical and biological environment. Certainly, COVID-19 has taken toll of hundreds of thousands of human lives, but it has shown very deep fissures that exist within our society when it comes to tackling this pandemic. Economic losses to the tune of $9 trillion are also predicted. We've also learned that COVID-19 is a part of a growing trend of emerging zoonotic diseases that have jumped from animals to humans. We've also learned that there are many factors that drive these zoonotic diseases, starting with the loss of a natural habitat to our lifestyles and even climate change. These diseases do not have any boundaries, and hence there is a need to add the word One Health to One Earth and the One World. For UNEP, the declaration of 2021 to 2030 as the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration by the United Nations General Assembly is deliberate and very opportune, bearing in mind the unsettling revelations made in landmark scientific reports on the state of biodiversity loss. I strongly believe investing in ecosystem restoration, developing nature-based solutions to some of our most complex problems, and responding to the Code Red announced by the UN Secretary General to tackle climate change will help prevent future pandemics. I was very happy to hear that you have been observing mock UNEA since 2014, and this will be your 5th mock UNEA. For the next 2 to 3 days, all your delegations will be pondering on how COVID-19 has impacted the SDG. While SDG is a beautiful vision for a better world, unraveling the complexity of SDG and how COVID-19 has shattered some of our perceptions and models will lead you all to think in systems. I want to conclude by quoting Peter Senge, the American systems scientist, and quote, "Systems thinking is a discipline for seeing wholes. It is a framework for seeing interrelationships rather than things, for seeing patterns of change rather than static snapshots. It goes without saying that only when we debate and discuss the root cause of such zoonotic diseases can we all collaborate and build back better for a more sustainable future and the world. I wish you all the best for the next 2 days, and I would be interested to know the draft resolutions and decisions that your delegates would come out with. All the best for your deliberations, and thank you.
Analya, unmute yourself.
Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Gayatri Raghwa to officially declaration the H Model United Nations Environment Assembly 2021 open and briefly address the Assembly. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Analya. And I'm really happy to be with you all today once again. I remember I was physically with you during the last UNEA that you had held, the mock UNEA you had held. I think that was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And I do miss being with all of you physically, but I'm very happy that you are continuing the tradition and you're not letting anything stop, least of all the COVID, all your pursuits to preserve the environment. And so you've already heard what our India country head had spoken about the mock UNEA and about the COVID. So on his behalf, I would like to declare your mock UNEA open for this year. And with that, I would also like to share with you a few statistics, because your topic is a very, very aptly chosen topic. Global GDP, we realized, has decreased by almost 3.5%. This was the 2020 statistics. We've pushed 124 million people to extreme poverty. We've also increased the gender poverty gap. 1 in 3 people in 2020 did not get adequate access to food. There has been a 45% increase in child mortality due to COVID. And I need not stress, you're all going to debate about it. Waste management is under stress. Be it medical waste, be it whatever waste, waste management is now under extreme stress. So I do think that the topic of how COVID-19 has affected our SDG is a very, very topical one. And as Atulji very rightly put it, the loss of biodiversity or ecosystem, remember, severely undermines all our efforts. You would not believe it, almost 80% of the targets for the SDGs are suffering due to COVID. It's very difficult now in these 2-3 years to report on poverty, on hunger, on deaths, etc., because of what had happened with COVID. So your topic is opportune, but do remember that it is a zoonotic disease. And zoonotic, it is important that we examine the root cause of anything, why something happened, how did we deal with it, which is very, very important. So when you deal with it, humans deal with it, societies deal with it, it has an economic impact, but then the disease is very much coming from animals. It is jumping from animals to humans. So why is this happening? And we are having a growing trend of these zoonotic diseases emerging, in the past few years. So I think it's a very, very important topic, and I wish you all the best for the 2-day deliberations, that 2 or 3 day deliberations that you're having. And we often say that youth has the power. Youth are the change makers. And I know you guys are, because Dr. Saldana was mentioning about Argadeep and many of the boys who have actually helped us quite a bit. They have interned with us in UN, and I know the power of youth. You guys really can do so much. But while everybody says that we need, youth has the power, maximum population of the world are youth, etc., etc., it is also a reality that they can only be change makers when we let them to be. For that, we need to empower them. We need to build their skills. We need to give them a platform. And that is why I am so pleased to see that this mock UNEA is the beginning. It's your step in the right direction of providing a platform and a voice to the youth to say what they want to say. So I am really, really happy. But I would like to confess one dream that I had. So the dream that I have is for the next UNEA, it should go out of India as well. You people, it's my dream that Shaheed Bhagat Singh College organizes an international mock UNEA next year. And I promise to help you as much as I can to make that happen. I want you there in the global map of having put so much of effort. And I am personally aware of all the efforts that Harithkram does and Shaheed Bhagat Singh College does in the field of environment. I have met you, and you students have an amazing ability, and you're so passionate and you're so committed. So this is my challenge to you, that next year it has to be international, and I want to see Shaheed Bhagat Singh on a global map, and I want to see it really growing and really growing big. And you have the potential, and you can do it. Thank you very, very much. I won't take much time, and I know Dr. Fawzia is waiting to speak. She's an amazing speaker, and I'm waiting to hear her as well. And thank you, Dr. Anil Saldana. Thank you, Raman. Thank you, all of you from the Harithkram team, Jyoti, Shikha, all of you. It's such a great pleasure to see once more all of you and your passion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your remarks. You have truly doubled up our energy for the event. Moving forward, we have with us our guest of honor today, Dr. Fawzia Tarannum from Terry School of Advanced Studies, New Delhi. Dr. Tarannum has kindly consented to give the plenary talk for the Delhi University Sustainability Forum 2020. I would like to request Dr. Komal Agarwal, Co-Convener, Harithkram, to introduce Dr. Tarannum. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Analia. Thank you so much. So as my colleagues before me have repeated a number of times, we are fusing two events this year in the virtual mode. So in an ideal world, we would have had DUSF last year in 2020, but we are still celebrating it this year. And HMUNE'21 was supposed to be held this year. It was slated for this year. So we are fusing these two events. And again, in a world of wishful thinking, we would have had many plenary speakers for the two events. But this time we have Dr. Fawzia Tarannum acting as the plenary speaker for DUSF as well as HMUNEA. And we also have the plenary talk right now as a part of the inaugural event. So without much ado, I would just like to introduce our fabulous speaker for today. Dr. Fawzia Tarannum is an assistant professor in the Department of Regional Water Studies at Terry School of Advanced Studies, Terry SAS. Dr. Tarannum is an interdisciplinary water professional with more than 20 years of experience in project management, teaching, and training. She's an electrical engineer with diploma in management, and her PhD dissertation is on the analytics of public perception of water management. Public perception of water quality and role of information communication technology in supporting participative management. In 2013, she was awarded the University of Nairobi IDRC doctoral research grant for her PhD study. She was also awarded the Fulbright Hubert H. Humphrey Fellowship by the US State Department in 2017, and has spent a year in Cornell University to enhance her skills in interdisciplinary approach to water management. She has received leadership training on 7 habits of highly effective people from Franklin Covey Institute and Climate Reality Leadership Corps training by Al Gore, former Vice President of the United States. She has 4 months of professional affiliation in Water and Ocean Governance Department at UNDP in New York City. Prior to joining Terry SAS, she was General Manager Sales at MS Cleantech Infra Private Limited, a company engaged in mechanized cleaning and dredging solutions for shallow water bodies. Her research interests are gender, equality, and water resources management, integrated water resources planning and management, water governance, and food water energy nexus. Dr. Tarannum has also a number of publications in reputed national and international journals. We are indeed delighted to have Dr. Tarannum with us as our plenary speaker for DUSF. Welcome, Dr. Tarannum, and you may please begin your talk.
Thank you very much, Dr. Komal, for that very, very comprehensive introduction. I am indeed very humbled and touched by this, by your very explicitly going to really speak so much about me. Honestly speaking, for me, coming into the field of environment was probably much later than many of you who have been in this field. So good morning, everyone. And I would really like to thank SHAHEED Bhagat Singh College, Dr. Raman and his team for inviting me for this plenary talk. And I would like to congratulate all of you for organizing this Model United Nation on the theme of environment. So when you say Harithkram, very rarely it so happens that you make it so specific. So I remember my son attending Model United Nation, which would be on history or economics and more generic in nature. But today that you people have thought of organizing a Model United Nation on environment exclusively, that's something that I would really like to compliment the entire team. Of course, unlike Gayatri ma'am, this is my first time that I am interacting with all of you. And I indeed feel honored to be here speaking on the issue of climate change and sustainable development and COVID-19, how it cuts across all these things. So it's only yesterday that we ended up training 10,000 climate reality leaders in as the Climate Reality Leadership Corps by Al Gore. And we would be having almost 10,000 more leaders being added to the whole team globally from today. So that was an amazing experience. And when Dr. Raman reached out to me, I generally don't miss a chance when it comes to interaction with youth. So despite, I have a number of engagements this week, I decided to join and speak here. And very, 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 I would say very timely, you have decided to do this this conference as well as your MUN, because we have COP26 around the corner. We are starting it shortly. And also we have the IPCC report of the Science Forum that has emerged that has warned us on the temperature increase, of course, and they have also mentioned that this temperature increase is because of human interventions. These are anthropogenic in nature. These are human-driven activities that is driving the temperature, that's increasing the temperature. So it's very important that we act now, we act today, and all of us come together to act, to see that the temperatures don't soar higher. Beyond 1.5 is what we are expecting, that we should be able to curtail, but with business as usual, it may go up to 2 degrees Celsius. So since this is Delhi University Sustainable Forum and the Harithkram MUN Environment Assembly combined together, so I will just quickly share my screen and my presentation, and probably I'll take it through that. So I hope you are able to see my presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so let me just make this small and put it here. Okay, so now coming to COVID-19 and its impact on SDGs, I would say that COVID-19 is like a double helix. The SDGs and COVID-19 pandemic response are intertwined and cannot be tackled by a piecemeal approach. So we cannot now look at it in isolation. And COVID-19, for instance, have actually impacted literally all the SDGs which are there. And a little representation of that I will be showing you shortly. So it started off as a health crisis. It moved on to become an economic crisis. And in due course of time, it has also become a humanitarian crisis. So wherein there are people who are losing jobs. There are people who have already lost jobs. There's no food for people. There is the earning member of the family has passed away. The social security schemes are not as good. So those are the issues which are also there. So when we talk about deaths from COVID-19, it's only a very, very small part of the total impact, because there are some persons, of course, whom we have lost and they have gone, but the repercussions of it in terms of the physical impact, the social impact, the economic impact that has been there, that is definitely going to impede our progress towards SDGs. So if you look at the deaths also, probably India has got the second highest deaths that have happened. And this is a very important slide that I wanted to show you. And this was on how COVID-19 pandemic has actually impacted different SDGs. So we will look at a few of them. We will also go a little more in detail about some of them. So the first one that we talk about is no poverty. And you know that there has been loss of income. You know that a lot of people have reverse migrated. Those in cities have also been impacted. Many startups have stopped, like they had to close down. A lot of people who were running small shops, their income has been impacted. All the vendors, street vendors who were there, who would earn every day and live, their work has been impacted. There has been a problem also in terms of access to markets. So if farmers have produced crop, but they are not having access to markets, so they really don't know where to sell it. So poverty, of course, has been impacted. Again, food and hunger. So there has been disruption. So even if we say that the food production remained the same, But when it came to food distribution, there was again a problem in terms of distribution of food. So we have seen people thriving on khichdi by social organizations or by NGOs who were distributing. The government in its ration was distributing rice and chana ka dal. So that was the distribution that was happening. Of course, that would affect the nutrition part as well. Then good health and well-being, again, that of course goes without saying that there has been devastating effect on health outcomes that has been there. Quality education, we will talk a little more in detail about the digital divide that is there in the country, and because of which who could access education and who could not. And those who could access education, also the kind of stress that they went through because of that. Gender equality, so both in terms of loss of jobs. So there are certain jobs generally, which women do, and primarily, and from even at a lower level of being working as domestic help or working in colleges and institutions to higher level like front office executive and all. And their roles became redundant when COVID-19 hit. But alongside, we will also speak about the violence that has been there. Clean water and sanitation, access to water again became a big challenge, because we were talking about hand washing a lot during COVID-19, but everybody didn't have the luxury to have water for hand washing. So that was again a direct challenge that we see. But out of that, you can see there are some indirect challenges. So reduced inequalities, for instance, the SDG goal 10. So in case the education gets impacted, education actually provides you the path to become economically empowered. So if your education has been impacted, obviously the difference gets very evident when it comes to the earning potential or the pay gap that is there. At the same time, access to internet, access to, I know students who would there would be one mobile phone in the family. My domestic help, I know she had one mobile phone in the family, and she had 3 kids to study, and how they would really take turns to use that mobile phone to do their assignments or access their courses. Again, clean energy, so that supply of that has also been disrupted. There have been shortages which have been there around because of COVID-19. Again, you have the economic growth that has definitely been and severely impacted. In fact, Mr. Bagai also told in his presentation about the $9 trillion loss that has happened to the economy because of COVID-19. Sustainable cities and communities is a very important topic again to focus upon, especially in the light of, so when you superimpose COVID-19 and alongside you say that you talk about climate change and climate change migration to cities, our cities are definitely not equipped. We were talking about social distancing, for instance. I could do social distancing in my locality, but did everybody has the potential, has the luxury of having social distancing when people are 10 people, 15 people are living in small crowded houses? So sustainable cities would be very important. Access to water, access to energy would again be very important in this. Then climate action, of course, which I've already covered in detail, so I will not talk much. We did see a lot of conflict also during COVID-19. So conflict, whether it was around religion, whether it was around caste, whether it was around different activities, but it did result, whether it was also around blaming China for everything. And so a lot of conflicts globally as well as nationally, we did see during the COVID-19 pandemic. And then partnership for goals. So that's goal 17 that you have. That probably played a very big role in terms of mitigating or in terms of reducing the impact of COVID-19. How civil society joined hands with NGOs, a lot of informal citizens collective came together. How people joined hands with the government, how people joined hands with the civil society organization to mobilize resources, because in the second phase of COVID-19, we were really hard pressed for even basic things like hospital beds, oxygen, and other things. So how partnership really helps us in addressing these issues. And of course, lockdown, 23% are returned home on foot during the lockdown. And another very important thing you see is 56% of the migrant workers who came back to the villages were less than 35 years of age. So it's important to look at this because most of them who were also impacted were youth who actually leave their homes in search of better livelihood in cities. And this has already Gayatri ma'am spoke about how COVID-19 has pushed almost about 500 million people back into poverty. People whom we used to call as lower middle class and who would run their small businesses like shops in marketplaces, they have all shifted to poverty, and they are the ones who are probably going through major stress because they are not even able to reach out to people for help, because that self-respect that comes into them when they feel that that false sense of this thing that if I reach out to people, what will they think? And rightly so, because all these years they have been very independent. So that's there. So poverty, of course, is one thing that has been there. And if you look at the global economic crisis on extreme poverty, you will see that it has actually increased by an increase in number of poor people. And also you have a relative increase in the number of poor, the percentage increase that has happened both in terms of rural population as well as the urban population that is there. Food security, again, I've already spoken to you about it. Globally, we have almost about 800 million people who go hungry every day, and that has become further, it has been impacted by COVID-19 alongside, in fact, stunting and wasting. So stunting and wasting, again, the situation is likely to worsen. So stunting is your less height, height to age ratio, and waste is weight to age ratio. So that is there. So wasting and stunting, both is going to worsen because of that. And small scale food products are hard hit by the crisis. I've already spoken about small scale farmers who probably are so dependent on local resources that has been there, which were impacted, like local markets to go and sell, local markets. So a lot of it has been impacted because of COVID-19. The digital divide, if you look at, okay, sorry, there's something coming there, but you can see the digital divide. So wherever you see yellow, they have internet connection, but in India, you can see that the internet connection, though we do have patches of yellow, and we say that we have internet connection through data to all the remotest part of the country, but the data is probably, the connectivity is very poor. And you must have faced when online classes were going on, some of your friends would have said that, oh, I have got poor connectivity, and that's something that has been there. So this has actually impacted the quality education. So UNESCO estimates about 1.25 billion students are affected by lockdown, and UNDP estimates 86% of primary school children in developing countries are not being educated. And then the shadow pandemic. So I said how it impacts gender. So violence against women and girls during COVID-19. So that has also increased several times. So this is June 2020 data, but that has also increased several times because of that. And most of the women who have lost jobs, so if you look at the industries where probably women work more, they are the ones who have been impacted. So some places, of course, like real estate business and administrative services, where we see that there are male-dominated jobs which have been impacted, but there are also female-dominated jobs like accommodation and food services, wholesale and retail service, so manufacturing, agriculture, forestry, where you see service sector, especially education sector, especially a large number of women also work, and that has been impacted. So you can see here the gendered impact. So what are the sectors, industry sectors where men have got impacted, and what are the sectors where women have been impacted? Yes, we do not have 2.2 billion people do not have access to safe water, and even where tight water supply is connected, more than 300 million people cannot access the water when needed. I just wanted to also highlight here that prior to Sustainable Development Goals, we did have the Millennium Development Goals. And if you look at the outcome report of the Millennium Development Goals, it talks about access to water. Like in India, they say 96% of the population has access to improved water system. So the whole definition is flawed. When they say improved water system is in no way representative of safe water. So improved water system has got a definition that is there, which says that if water is available to you through any of the resources like hand pump or public stand post or in your house or within 30 minutes of your house, if you have to just travel 30 minutes within that, if you can access water, then you have access to improved water system. It doesn't talk about volume. It doesn't talk about how much water is available, who is carrying that water. So all those things are completely missing in the Millennium Development Goals that's there. So if you look at the waterless countries, probably you will see that 10 countries account for 60% of the world population without access to clean water. Hand washing, again, if you look at this, you will see that in some countries did have like proportion of population using hand washing facility with soap and water during COVID. So some countries you will see have better percentage of people who are able to access, whereas there are other countries where probably there's much less. So this is more representative of Asia and Southeast Asia and Southeast Asia. Progress on household drinking water, sanitation and hygiene. So this data, of course, is pretty recent. I'm not sure why this activate windows is coming here, but again, if you see by 2030, only 81%. So it's already been impacted. So we will not have 100% of the people having access to clean water, as well as only 67% of the world's population will have safe sanitation services. So we were talking about leaving no one behind, but we would actually leave about 2.8 billion people without access to sanitation and 1.6 billion people without access to safe drinking water. And we have to also remember that today our the global population is 7.6 billion. By 2050, it would touch almost about 9.5, 9.6 billion. So how are we really going to scale up these things as well? Work, of course, 1.6 billion people work in the informal economy. That's about half the global workforce. So they are in immediate danger because of COVID-19, and 1 in 6 young people have lost their jobs since pandemic began. So a lot of focus needs to be done. Economic impact I have covered, and I think also Mr. Bagai had talked about. So I'll just skip this slide and then come to my last slide where we talk about financing gap. So already when we were looking at SDG goals and we were saying that developed countries should support developing countries in terms of meeting SDGs goal, this crisis of COVID-19 now has put an additional burden to them on that requirement for the money that was there. So if SDG financing gap could increase by almost by about 70%, that's there. So 2.5 trillion, and there is a pre-COVID, the requirement was 2.5 trillion, but now that would have shot up to 4.2 trillion. So there is a need to really raise more money because a lot of people have shifted back. So whatever we had achieved, we have now, there has been a reverse process that has happened where people have been pushed into poverty, education loss has happened, water and sanitation infrastructure has been lost. So additional money now will be required for the recovery part of it. So what should be the way forward? So when you're looking at the way forward, we need to build more resilient and stronger societies to absorb such external shock. COVID-19 was an example, but as I said, if it's business as usual, this is going to we can actually have more such instances coming up in future. So taking COVID-19 as a basis for actually a warning for us, we need to start working on resilient and stronger society. We need to also do a thorough research. When we say a thorough research, we need to do a disaggregated research also, that who has been impacted, how that person has been impacted, how can we actually raise them and bring them to the level of economic empowerment. So we need to really, if we really want to have a clear roadmap of recovery, we need to do a good research, and we need to do a holistic research and disaggregated data we need to have in terms of rich, poor, male, female, and people of color, ethnic minority, everybody together. And as UN in its report said, we should build back better. So we should share responsibilities. There should be global solidarity. We should act together. So these are the principles which we need to really, and that I think COVID-19 has taught us. We did all come together when it came, especially in the second phase, when it came to fighting back. And that's the reason probably we are on the path of recovery. Redefining roles of different stakeholders. So now that we have faced the new normal, how can each individual contribute, whether it is the international community or it is youth or civil society or private sector, how they need to really start focusing on. For instance, private sector has CSR activities, which falls under Schedule 7. Do we really need to redefine Schedule 7, given that we have faced a situation like COVID-19? Then we also need to understand how small-scale humanitarian and philanthropic approaches was taken at the micro level. So now that these little institutions have been created to fight COVID-19, how can we leverage? For at Terry School of Advanced Studies, we did start a COVID task force, and now the COVID task force is also taking up other activities. So how these task forces they were created, we can leverage on them to now work towards achieving a realization of SDG goals. So, and we must also take special care of marginal and vulnerable communities that's there, so that we do not leave anybody behind. And last but not the least, from where I started, that since all these problems are human induced, there is a need for behavioral change. So with that, thank you very much. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an enriching and informative talk. It was great listening to your valuable discourse, and thank you for taking us deep into the effects of COVID and lockdown in the long run. Truly, we need to put our heads together to have an effective roadmap of recovery.
I request Madam Gayatri to kindly come over and bless us further with her words.
I was asking Raman, what do you want me to speak about? So the best thing that I know that I can talk about is youth. I think what I would like to share with you, and I thought that the time was less and I did not speak at that point, is that this particular UNIA that is going to happen in February, that is going to have a very large youth component, by the way. And so we are planning a whole lot of events and series of events on how we can engage youth in the upcoming UNIA, so which is in February. So I really would love you people to, if it is a possibility for you, to really come out with something, and I will keep you posted and I will talk to Raman. And in case Dr. Saldana, if there is an opportunity and if it is a possibility, and I know it's a long shot with COVID and so many things, if your student could maybe attend there at that point in time, February, we can choose some of the best students to come and represent and share their views on what you have done. I think it will be amazing if that can happen. Though, as I said, there is a big if, and I know that there is, the opportunities has to come up. There's a question of funding. There's a lot more questions there. But then, since this particular event in February is going to be very, very youth-led, and there is a lot of youth component, and I would like to have the voice of Harithkram represented in February, if it is a possibility. And I will keep you updated. So now I would like to share with you just the recent thing that we have launched for colleges and for universities. And I would love most of the universities who are present here today to join us. We realize that each of your colleges are doing some wonderful stuff, like Bhagat Singh has been doing wonderful UNIA, mock UNIA, and you've been so involved with environmental activities. But I'd like everybody to know about it. So what we have now launched recently with Dr. Fawzia Tarannum, by the way, in September, is India Green University Network. So we have opened this India Green University Network basically as a platform for all universities and colleges to come and join us and share the good work that they've been doing. So this is a great opportunity for most of the colleges who are present here today, even at the HMUNEA, to join with us at the Green University Network and then share the wonderful work that all your college or your students are doing. So having said that, because one of the things is we keep talking about youth as a force. Youth, sometimes I think, is it in a report or is it in words, or can it actually happen? It can happen, but what we need to do is really magnify the voice of youth. So wonderful work is being done, but what is not happening is that this work is not communicated to others. So what happens is there's a lot of people, like, you need to come to that critical mass of youth who come together, who join together, so that the voices can be magnified. So while you do wonderful stuff and really novel stuff, till you do not take this voice to the outside world or share it with others, the critical mass and even our outcome of giving the youth the voice, the platform, doesn't happen. So I would really want that all of your colleges can join the India Green University Network, share the good work that you people are doing, so that together we can take the voices of the youth to the world. And as I was offering to Harithkram to sort of get a little more about the dream that I was having, I was telling we have connections with many universities in different parts of the world. You are doing a virtual mock UNIA anyways. So we can do another virtual one if you want, and we can have other countries joining in as well. So make your mock UNIA international. And I know personally, because I connect with so many universities in different countries, they are all really, they would be really happy to join you. And I think it's a wonderful thing if you can do it. I know it will be a little burden on your staff and trying to get it all going, because they also have to do their own course and curriculums, etc., etc. But I think this is also part of education. So our education is not only in books. The education is how you learn what you learn in the books and apply it outside. And that's where the education comes in. And these are opportunities for all of the youth to learn whatever that you're learning and put it in practice and see, hey, how does this happen in real world? We learn a lot of things in our economics and geography and so many other subjects, but how does this actually pan out in the real world? So I think that is an important part of learning as well. So as long as we consider this also as a part of integrated curriculum, and I think the new education policy is also talking about it. The new education policy says that you need to have a multidisciplinary approach. You need to sort of give more skills, give more leadership qualities to students, because they need to, at the end of the day, once they pass out from college, work in a real world with very real kind of situation, which may not be theoretical at all. So I think these are also important part of learning. And I think it would be wonderful if you people can join and then really magnify the voice and really make it big and make it a part of learning, because it all depends, because Dr. Saldana, they're doing research. When they do this kind of a meeting, when they are acting as delegate, they are going, they're browsing, they're doing research on a certain topic. So if you really make it really worthwhile, they can do research, and definitely this can be a part of their learning as well for their curriculum as much as practical learning. So I think I have been talking a lot. In case, because I wanted to step in, but in case you have any questions, anything that you want to ask, either drop the line in a chat box, or if your technical person can allow you, you can ask the question. So anybody want to ask a question, Analia. So Analia, do I get your name right?
Analia,
So
Analia.
Analia, if you want to ask your youth participant to post a question, they can post a question on the chat box, or if they want to ask a question out here, they can do that. That's up to you. You're the boss here.
Yes, so I request the participants to kindly post their questions in the chat box so that I can read. Or else they can unmute themselves and also ask.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pratyush. I'm a student member at Harithkram. Ma'am, can you please tell us a bit more about the UNEA youth? Like there is a participation of youth in the UNEA as well. So like, can you just tell us a bit more about it?
Okay, so what is happening is we generally have a kind of youth representation in all the UNEA. Back, I think that was, when did that physical UNEA happen? That was in 2017, I think. So we did, in fact, you might recall, we had that big accident that happened with the Ethiopian Airlines, where many people died who were coming to UNEA. And in fact, unfortunately, some of them were youth. So we did have a separate youth session. We always have a youth session where in UNEA, where youth associations and youth networks from different parts of the world, they want to come and attend. And so they come and attend. This was a general thing. But then this particular year, we look at how can we structure our youth sessions and our youth participation better. Right now, the plans are not ready, but what I can do is, as soon as the plans are ready, I will share it with Dr. Raman, and then he can talk to you, and then he can update you on how is it going and where is it going. But there is always a youth participation that happens. We do have representative youth from different youth associations, organizations, and networks all over the world coming, and there is a separate youth session which happens anyway. This time we are looking at how can we make it, structure it even better. I hope it answers your question.
Yes, ma'am, it truly does. Thank you so much.
I think, ma'am, we don't have any more. Okay, we have a question. A valuable observation. One of the most important needs of present day has emerged as communication of ideas effectively, universally, and in simpler terms. So this is a comment actually by Prasanna.
Prasanna, you're very right. A very, very important thing is communication. We don't talk enough to each other. And we talk about youth power, but we don't harness that youth power. Everybody works in piecemeal, in isolation. And they do good work, but then they work in isolation. So the idea is getting it all together.
So, ma'am, the question that has been posted is like, how do you see this in HMUN? The communication of ideas.
Just widen it. I think you're already doing it because you're already going to stream it in the Facebook. So that is a good approach to do that, streaming it in the Facebook. But at the same time, it is important that you reach out. I mean, I don't know how many colleges in this HMUNEA are from Delhi and how many are from outside. One is reaching out nationally and then also reaching out internationally. And I'm sure there will be a lot of takers. And once you do that, you really structure it better, you do it better. You've got a wonderful idea, work on it, and then take it forward. And I'm sure you have some wonderful students with you. And your alumni, as well as your current, Harithkram office bearers. And I think you people can put your head together and you'll come up with a wonderful idea. These days of social media and so many things, I think it's not difficult at all.
Thank you, ma'am, for telling us more about the MUN and about the new opportunities we can get from MUN. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Nida Arshi, Faculty Coordinator, DUSF'20 and HMUNEA'21 to offer the final vote of thanks.
Thank you, Analia, for conducting the event so well. With this, since we have reached to the end of our inaugural session, I am here on behalf of Harithkram to say or to express our gratitude to some of the people without whom this conference wouldn't be a reality. To begin with, I would like to thank our guest of honor, Dr. Fawzia Tarannum, for delivering a DUSF plenary talk and taking us through the various stages of COVID-19 and the intensity with which it has affected the world. I may also like to express our sincere thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Atul Bagai, for sending such encouraging message. We are grateful to Ms. Gayatri Raghwa for officially declaring the opening of Harithkram model UNEA and also sharing her insights about the role of youth, which it can play in the future, which we are going to enter very soon. I also wish to express my gratitude to our patron, Professor Anil Sardana, for supporting us in all our effort towards creating an awareness about the environmental issues. Next person I would like to thank is our staff advisor, Dr. V.V.A. Raman. As we all know that be it Harithkram, DUSF or HUMNEA are all his brainchild, and he has nurtured them like a father. He has mentored all our student volunteers and motivated them to organize this event in a virtual mode, fighting all odds. Thank you, sir, for telling us how diligently one should work to achieve one's goals. I may like to express a sincere thank to all my senior colleagues and my friends from the faculty of our college for nurturing the society with love, support, and their guidance. Definitely, this event wouldn't be possible without the effort of our student volunteers, conveners, co-conveners, whom we have seen working for almost past 2 months on the intricate details of this event. Challenges were huge, but they have overcome them all with immense enthusiasm to put a great event for us all. At the end, I would like to acknowledge our gratitude to our knowledge partner, WWF, media partner, DU Beats, Ensemble, and DU Unity. With this, I hope next, whenever we are meeting, is going to be in a physical mode in the new world we will enter soon, where we will not have this virus around affecting us. It has already affected us a lot. Hopefully, we will have a better world, a better sensibilities to deal with the environment, to fight the challenges. Hope we will have some insightful discussion in the upcoming session about how one should change its behavior, its understanding towards the environment with these new challenges which we have. I'm wishing all the participants and delegates just a good luck and best wishes from my side for the session to come. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request everyone to please stand and salute for the playing of the national anthem and pay respect to our fluttering tricolor.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We have now come to the end of the inaugural ceremony, but we reassemble at 2 p.m. for the school students conference. The joining link for the session has been circulated beforehand. We also look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for the first session of HMUNEA 2021 at 10 a.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead.